Hey guys, welcome to Executive Espresso. We've got a great guest and a great show in store for you guys today. We're going to be here for 18 minutes, just a high octane conversation between myself and Dr. Elyssa Smith. She's a psychodynamic therapist. She's a play therapy supervisor. How can you integrate life, leadership, and play? She's the founder of the Inner Canvas Collective, working on your own inner canvas. We'll talk a bit about that. And today she'll be sharing thoughts, sharing secrets on how professionals in high responsibility roles can, organize themselves, organize their mindsets to sustain clarity, creativity, and care without collapsing. And so why is it that, high performers really even need to worry about mastering those internal recovery rhythms? We'll talk about that. How play can enhance neuroplasticity. It can unlock creativity and leadership clarity. We'll talk a bit about transference, mental habits, and how that can hijack your focus. And then we'll kind of wrap it up with some final words of wisdom. So join the chat. All you have to do is drop it in the chat bubble there. I'll pull it up on screen. Dr. Elyssa, it is so wonderful to have you here today. Share with the folks your background. What do you do? What's your forte?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I am, as you said, a psychotherapist and a play therapist. I also work with therapists in helping them be better at what they do. So working with them in supervision and training other people to become play therapists and professional counselors and therapists. So I work with patients and clients, but I also work at a level that is higher in terms of educating and training the future of the profession.
Wow, that's awesome. How long have you been in the field, by the way?
So my path in my career is a bit nonlinear, which I think is important to uh, this idea about play and creativity and my ability to bring those into my life and into my career. Because if you were to ask me 12 years ago when I started this where I would be, I would not say here. So I think embracing the journey and what happens and kind of being open to the opportunities that come your way in your openness to that has been important in life and also in my career. So, yeah, I forgot what was your
No,
original
that's awesome.
question.
How'd you get into the field? How long have you been in it? I want to tack on there. What's one of the things that has surprised you the most? Maybe a top discovery, a top realization, if you will, that you've stumbled upon after having been in the field. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I originally got into the field because I honestly felt like it was a calling. I think being a therapist or working with people in such intimate, deep ways, you have to love it. If you don't love it, if it doesn't light you up, if it's not your passion, then you can't do it. It's not easy work. And I think this is a thing that I try to instill in my supervisees and the people that I'm bringing in and mentoring and coming into the profession, because the work we do is very intense and we hold space and we give space for people to talk about very difficult things, and that takes a toll on you. And so that's part of kind of my mantra or my mindset in being able to take care of yourself and really that it starts and ends with you and your ability to really know yourself, because therapy is a profession or psychotherapy is a profession in which you are the tool. The relationship and what you bring to it is what heals. And so that's a very different from most of these other healthcare professions, right? When we think about doctors or even physical therapists, they have other tools to support their work. When it's in therapy, you're the tool. Bringing your professional self to the relationship is how treatment works. And so obviously that means taking care of yourself and bringing your best self and showing up in a way that where you really know yourself and you're taking the time to work on that in your practice.
I think one of the things that I've learned is people don't do enough work on that. They don't spend enough time working on what you might call the inner canvas. And
Mm,
I think there's many different reasons for that. One is you have to
yep.
recognize that it needs work. The other thing is the work needs to be targeted. My old piano professor, my piano teacher, used to say, uh, "Practice does not make perfect. Proper
Mm,
practice makes perfect." And so, what have you found is necessary when working on that inner canvas? I love that term, by the way. You could talk more about that. What is a way to work properly on
mhm,
painting that
mhm.
internal canvas? Might you think? Just a few comments or thoughts on that, if
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah, I like how you put that. It's very important to understand who you are and what that means, and to really bring an honest, tell yourself the truth, like take responsibility for what you're doing and your intention of why you're doing it. So I think that it also goes back to, what is your purpose? Why are you here? What are you supposed to be doing? And I think if you have a clear understanding of why you were put on this earth, you can always go back to that. And so it takes time to work through that. And I think part of that is also telling yourself the truth and really facing some of these more difficult things in your life, or in your suffering, or in things that when you that are difficult for you, those distractions or things that get in the way, really being able to talk through that with someone else, and to be honest with yourself and others. I think healing happens, or your ability to get a place where you really know yourself, and you're living an authentic life, and you're living in your desires and what you want in a conscious way, can only happen when you tell yourself and others the truth. And that is not easy. It's much easier to avoid it, or to not take responsibility, or to distract yourself. I mean, there's so many ways to do that, right? I mean, I think our media and our society is built to not look at those things. And so it
Why do you
takes
why do
a
you think that is? I talk about that all the time, and I've talked about that for many decades. Why do you think people are so resistant to just looking themselves in the mirror and telling themselves the truth? And by the way, let me just point out, for those of you
Mhm.
listening, we've got over 100 people listening. Thank you guys so much for showing up. We're
Amazing.
live streaming to Facebook,
Wow.
LinkedIn,
Didn't know that.
to X,
Cool.
where so we just have a little over 100 on X, but other
Mhm.
places I think it's probably approaching around 200 people or whatever in the space today.
Yeah.
Do drop your comments in the chat. I'll pull them up
Mhm.
here. I know Dr. Elyssa would love to hear some questions from you guys. But on the telling the truth, I want to make
Mhm.
sure that the listeners don't understand that what we're saying is um, direction of that truth. Sometimes there's things that we need to admit, a
Mhm.
failure or misstep, but I also
Mhm.
find that people don't tell themselves the truth when it comes to positive, life affirming things about
Yeah.
themselves. There's strengths that you guys have that
Right.
you need to be able to look in the mirror and embrace and say, you know
Mhm.
what? I am enough. You know what? I do have what it takes. So I think that we get too caught up in the negativity thing that, well, I
Mhm.
need to accept this mistake, that mistake. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it's
Yeah.
just as much of a problem. I tell men all the time that have made
Yeah.
big mistakes in relationships. I'll say, look, yeah, you made a mistake. It's good that you know that. It
Yeah.
will not help you to spend the rest of your days beating up on yourself for that. But back to my
Right.
question,
Mhm.
why do you think folks have such a hard time just telling themselves the truth about themselves?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that perspective, because it's definitely a both and. My thing is finding the middle ground and holding what's called the tension of opposites, so that we're always holding two things at the same time. We can make a mistake. I don't even like to call it a mistake, because I think it's wisdom. I think it's gaining wisdom. Um, but you can make a mistake, or be upset, or feel like a failure. And then you can also be really proud of yourself at the same time for taking that risk, for putting yourself out there, for gaining wisdom, for being the person to step out and actually have the courage to make that mistake, because all you can do from that is learn. And if you were holding yourself back from that and you didn't enter that space, you would have never been able to have that experience. And so we always have to, or I always strive for the middle ground and hold both of those things at the same time. And I think one of the reasons that people have a hard time with that is because in our society there is unfortunately such a dichotomy or a leaning towards one way or the other. We've lost kind of this ability for the gray. And I think that's reflected across the board in, you could take that out to societal issues or politics, whatever you want to say. But really people who can see that middle ground and hold the tension of those two things at the same time, I find to be the most successful, the most authentic, the people that are the most conscious, who can really achieve what they want in an authentic way and feel good about that, feel like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and feel like they're enacting their purpose or passionate about what they do because they've taken the time to enter that space. And it's really hard to do. I mean, I think that it involves when you tell yourself the truth there, where you really take time to look at these issues, it's not pleasant. You have to be able to sit in a space that's really uncomfortable. And that's hard for any human. I mean, I think that's the human part of us. It's not easy to tolerate these things and to step into the unknown and go into places that are very deep. But that's why I'm such a believer in doing it over time and in the safety and security of with a professional who knows what they're doing and can guide you and help you do that for yourself.
Yeah, who would you take your diesel truck to if your diesel truck broke down, or would you try to fix it yourself? Who would you take if you had a cavity in a molar, are you going to go to the garage and grab the pliers and try to, like Tom Hanks in the movie, Castaway, knock your own tooth out of your head or whatever? I will never go to a dentist. Put it on my tombstone. Never been to a dentist. Kind of a takeoff of what Elon Musk said. But it's a really hard thing either way when you're telling, when you're truth telling about yourself, because if you're gonna say to somebody, so let's just imagine that you're a leader and you made a mistake with your team. Yeah, that'll be a really hard thing to stand in front of your team, you're the grand poobah, and say, you know what, guys, I made a mistake. But it's also one of the most valuable things you can do, because it teaches them it's okay to make mistakes. Because on the other side of mistakes is often success, but that's a hard thing to do. You are taking a risk. And people, I think, mind read a lot. If I tell them I made a mistake, they'll think I don't know what I'm doing. They'll blow me off. I'll lose credibility, all that catastrophic thinking. But you're also taking a risk when you're sharing with someone a success. I have a story of that. Just last night, I sat in a chair beside my wife. We were watching one of her TV shows after dinner, and I shared with her a success. Now, a lot of people won't do that because they'll get to thinking, they think I'm being egotistical or narcissistic or something like that. But in your relationships, you need to have an agreement that or you should, you don't have to have, that we can celebrate our successes. That it's okay to say, hey, you know what? Here's something I did, and I'm proud of doing it. It's kind of like if you washed your car. What's wrong with saying, hey, look at my shiny new car? Or if you, in my wife's case, she loves to have her hands in the dirt. If she planted a geranium or something, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, look at what I've done. Look at what I've planted. For heaven's sakes, I used to have a wonderful puppy dog named Lucy that would celebrate finding a mole. And she would dig up the darn thing and leave it on my doorstep. And did I want a mole? Not really. Not on my doorstep, thank you very much. But I would celebrate that with, that's so wonderful. She didn't understand a word coming out of my mouth. But she could register the excitement. So in a relationship, you need to engage that. I think that's a type of play. And I want to get more before we finish up today on how leaders can really leverage play to help their teams, to help their families. that's a type of play is, being like at a football game when you have success and celebrating each other's
Yeah.
successes. So how can leaders leverage this play that we're talking about, Dr. Elyssa? What do you think?
Well, play and creativity is the ability to live in the moment, to experience flow, to kind of open yourself up to possibility and to be childlike and to kind of just like be in the world. It's less about doing and it's more about being and trusting in what comes and being open to new experiences, new ideas, new thoughts. And I think that letting go and opening yourself up allows for play and not taking yourself so seriously. And I think that, like we're saying, in any kind of relationship, professional, personal, romantic, there is a sense that sharing and play builds more connection, it builds more trust, it allows for the ability, as humans we need to connect, we are people, need relationships, they need connection. It's a very instinctual human drive, and similar creativity and play are also instinctual to us because sharing in these experiences and sharing in our celebration and joy fosters deeper connections with people. And it is in that piece of sharing that's important because a success is great on your own, but when you share it with others and you can experience that joy together in and through your relationship, that is so special and it's different. And anyone who's experienced that, I don't need to explain it, you just feel it. It's a different kind of joy and experience. And I think one more thing before, I know
Yeah,
we're
go
a little
ahead.
over, but this idea that when you are able to show up as a leader and say, I made a mistake, it actually is so important for the team because they see you as trustworthy, as reliable, as human, and there's respect. You gain their respect. And I think respect is such an important thing. Trust is such a important thing in being a leader. And and often even I could relate it to therapy, that therapists are not perfect and sometimes they make a mistake, and your ability to repair deepens the relationship. And there's a lot of research on this as well, that there's ruptures, but then the repair piece brings the relationship into such a different level and allows the work to be more healing and deeper. So it's not about whether or not a mistake happens, it's about what you do with that and your ability to be vulnerable and to show up and to have a conversation and to seek to understand and be curious and repair. That is so important and deepens the connection in the relationship.
It really does. Whether you're a therapist or a parent or a partner in a firm or a leader of a corporation, fallibility is an opportunity. And it's an
Mhm.
opportunity, like Dr. Lissa said, to deepen the relationship. And it also, if your people are so afraid of making a mistake, they're
Mm,
also not going to make they're also going to make fewer successes. So to make
right.
more successes, they have to be able to make a mistake, and they're not going to be able to make a mistake unless you, as the company founder, innovator, parent, whoever, mom, dad, show it's okay to make mistakes. And
Mhm.
part of that deal is that you're not going to beat up on them because they do. If you beat up on people when they make mistakes, they stop trying. It's actually called
Right.
learned helplessness. There's some really
Mm,
terrible studies related to that using animals, dogs in particular, that when you
mhm.
don't give an animal a way of escape, and they're just going to
Mm,
get punished for no matter what they do, then they just lay down and they do nothing. So
yeah.
that is going backwards in whatever relationship they're in. And so it's really, fallibility is a human trait, and it is also a great opportunity. It depends on how you choose to use it. Yeah, those saying, never let them see you sweat, throw that out the window. No, by all means, from the mouth of Viktor Frankl himself, let them see you sweat. If they notice it, so what? It's up to them to interpret it, but it's an opportunity. Well, we're a little bit past time here. We're going to start wrapping up. Thank you guys for coming. Josh says, thank you, Josh, my dear friend. He says that I lose great respect for leadership that does not
Right.
actively confront their own flaws
Transparency.
in a way that,
Transparency is so important.
yeah, that translate to honest transparency. Yeah, why try to cover it up? People probably see it anyway. I deal with a lot
They
of parents.
know. They already know.
They
It's
already
like
know.
children, people are like, I don't want to tell my child something. I'm like, your child feels it already.
Yeah,
They
it's
know.
like if you're having, I tell, a lot of parents think a kid should not see parents disagree or in conflict.
Mhm.
Number one, like Dr. Elyssa said, they already know it. Number two,
Yeah.
would you expect that your child will grow up, get into a relationship, and never have conflict? That's a fairy
Right.
tale. So, how would
Right.
they learn how to navigate that conflict if they don't
Mhm.
observe you navigating the conflict? If you're leading a company, if
Yeah.
your job is not to not have conflict. Your job as a leader is to demonstrate expertise in
Mhm.
conflict. Okay, what maybe some insights we can leave people with today to kind of take into the weekend in their own leadership roles? What might you leave folks with today? And thank you guys for joining. We got around 200 people here across all platforms, maybe more than that. And I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Share out this live stream for others in leadership positions. They may just need this quick shot, high octane shot of espresso, cognitive
Mhm.
espresso in their life. Dr. Elyssa, what would you leave people with today?
Well, similar to what you said, I would say that your desire to be creative and play has to be greater than your fear of it, or it's never going to happen. So don't be afraid. Tell yourself the truth. Take a risk. Put yourself out there, and also as a leader, don't be afraid to be honest, transparent, vulnerable, and make mistakes and own them in the process.
Thank you so much, Dr. Elyssa. Very well said. And thank you guys again for joining us. We're back here each and every Friday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, U.S. Memphis time. We will be back this afternoon in just about 2.5 hours for Midday Mindset. Today it's going to be on the Freaky Friday subject of spirituality. So thank you so much for being here. Yolanda, my dear, thank you for being here also. And
Oh,
you can
thank
thank
you.
Dr. Elyssa for that. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you guys. Go out there, have a great day. Oh, and by the way, on Monday morning, we have a mega show. It'll be a special Memorial Day edition of Mindset Mojo. So if you have family members who have served their country, or you served your country, or folks that love you, and I'm sure they do, come on over Monday morning, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. We'll be there from 7 a.m. until 8:30 a.m. with the biggest panel I've ever had on Mindset
Wow.
Mojo. That'll be this coming
Exciting.
Monday. And Dr. Elyssa, I've got to get you on Mindset Mojo some Monday.
Yes,
When you,
someday. I messed up the time the last time, but yes, one day.
yeah,
Yes.
one day, just let me know. Guys, have a great week. We'll catch you next time.
Bye. Thank you.